Now, if I ask you what harp notation resource you use as your guide in writing, your answer is probably Adler. Now, while this guide is certainly useful, it's not comprehensive. So I'm here today to share with you my top 4 harp writing resources I recommend to composers. Hi, I'm Danielle from Compose Harp, and I want to share with you the resources you need to write for the harp with confidence. Today, we will review the top 4 harp guides I recommend to composers for writing for the harp. Make sure you watch to the end because I'm saving the best for last. Now, while there's a myriad of online resources available, I do believe that it's important to have printed, published guides. The original harp manual that most composers are familiar with is Stanley Czapluka's Harp Scoring. This one was published in 1979 by the harpist of the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra, and it's certainly a very valuable resource. It's small, it's concise, but it offers you pretty much all the information you need for the harp. What the limitations are, how to handle the pedals, the fingering, pretty much everything you need is in this little guide. Now, while it's comprehensive, it's certainly not detailed in the way that you might need if you're not familiar with the harp. So while I recommend this book as a reference guide to perhaps use along Adler, you do probably need additional resources if you're first learning how to write for the harp. As a side note, I also disagree with a few things in this book, such as Czapluka's opinion on whether or not composers should include pedal markings in their music. I believe that composers should include pedal markings, and I'm certainly not alone in my opinion. Czapluka also gives instructions on how to build a fairly complex pedal tracker for composers to use to track the pedal changes through a piece. While this is helpful, there are certainly easier alternatives out there, such as my recommendation for using a dry erase board, or there's online apps that you can use to track pedals. The second guide I recommend is Ruth Inglefield's Writing for the Pedal Harp. This book was written as a companion to Czapluka's Harp Scoring and actually includes the first section of Czapluka as the preface. Now, this book is focused exclusively otherwise on extended techniques or all the extra things that harpists will do, like tapping on the soundboard, different sound effects. So if you're writing standard traditional music, as in an orchestra setting, film score, game music, that sort of thing, this book may not be what you're looking for. However, if you're looking to do contemporary music, experimental music, anything that's kind of non-standard, you definitely need this book. It's very cohesive. It includes a glossary so you can search by sound effect and learn how to notate it. The third book I recommend is The Pocket Guide to Harp Composing by Darhon Rees-Rohrbacher. I really love this book. She's very thorough in her explanations. It's written in a very conversational style, and she explains the why behind a lot of the rules that we have. So rather than just saying don't write for the pinky finger, she explains why the pinky finger is shorter than the other fingers. It doesn't fit on the harp. It doesn't make anything easier, things like that. So if you're new to writing for the harp, you don't have much background, you haven't worked with a harpist, or your orchestration classes in school weren't very thorough in this regard, you really should have this book just to understand more of the why behind writing. The other thing I like about this book is she doesn't focus exclusively on the pedal harp. She also includes a lot of sections about writing for the lever harp, writing for the triple strung harp, so she's very thorough in her approach. So for such a concise, small book, this one is worth its weight in gold, and I highly recommend getting this, especially if you're newer to composing for the harp. Now, the final book I recommend is Yolanda Kondonassis's A Composer's Guide: How to Write Well for the Modern Harp. This one is the newest publication and was written last year in 2019. And it's very thorough, very comprehensive, very easy to read. Now, I could go on and on about how wonderful this book is. There's so much in it, but I want to focus on 2 aspects. The first is that Yolanda offers some very clear guidelines for composers with the caveat that there is some flexibility within it. So for instance, she does offer some very clear suggestions on how long, time-wise, not beat-wise, to allow between pedal changes. The other thing that she does is she gives some charts on how long certain notes ring, which is important if you're trying to gauge times in a recording situation. The other thing I really like is she offers some kind of cut and paste options for what figurations work well for the harp. So this isn't like a strict copy and paste where she's written everything for you, But if you're trying to write arpeggios, she has a ton of suggestions on what figures work well that you can use in your writing to make sure that they work well for the harp. The other thing that she does really well that isn't addressed in the other manuals is she offers a very holistic approach to harp writing and a composer's perspective for working with harpists. So she talks about time expectations, how long to expect a harpist to need to learn a piece, what kinds of things you can expect a harpist to be able to do, what kinds of things that you really shouldn't expect a harpist to do, what kinds of things make us prone to injury, a lot of that. So if you're looking to work with a harpist one-on-one or writing music beyond just simple orchestral parts, this book will really give you a lot of guidance on how to do that. And I know I wasn't going to suggest online resources, but she also has a companion website, yolandaharp.com, that has a section for composers where she's developed some Sibelius files for harp notation where you can download those and be able to copy and paste those into your score. So if you need notation that isn't already in Sibelius, like muffle notations, BDLT, PTLT, fingernail glisses, anything like that, you have those files available for download. So I highly recommend checking out her website for that. Let me know in the comments what you think and if there's any other guides I didn't address that you have found helpful. And as always, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and I will continue to be posting more videos for you. Until next time, bye.